Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV and our show Talking Points. This show is when we discuss a talking point topic of the week. But as we are all aware, there are a few things happening at Tottenham Hotspur and in the world of football. I'm joined today by some real special guests. We have our residents from Paxton Road TV, Mike Hotspur Hustler, Marlon Bashment and Deji Spurs. And we're also joined again by Brian from Tottenham Away and Bob from Bob Spur TV.
Call me whatever you want.
Gentlemen. I'm lost for words. I've not actually seen or had a week like this. Not even a week. We're probably talking 2 or 3 days of football, obviously given what Spurs has happened to Spurs. But in general, the whole talk about ESL. Now, I know there's things have changed in the last few minutes, but we are still going to try to raise the topic. The topic what we were going to talk about today was, why can't the ESL be good for football? Now, for some of you watching out there, this may now be a redundant question, but we're still going to deal with it anyway. I'm going to come firstly. Brian, talk to me. Why can't the ESL, or why couldn't the ESL be good for football?
Because it would have killed football. Football was the working man's game. I said it a million times. If we stepped foot in that Super League and our first fixtures came out, and let's just say it was Tottenham Inter Milan, I would never ever watch Tottenham Hotspur again, ever. My support for them would absolutely die, because my football club would die. It is a money-making machine. This is not why my dad brought me up to love football. It's not why his dad brought him up to play football. This is our game, not some kind of franchise nonsense. And with all the news that's come out, I am so happy. I've been so emotional the last few days. And the one thing I will take out of this right now is 2 people by the names of Buffoon 1 and Buffoon 2, being Levy and Enoch, need to get the hell out of our club. Your colours have been shown. Go away and never, ever come back. I'm so happy this has happened, just to prove what mercenaries they are.
So, Brian, just for the viewers at home who might not be aware of what's been going on in the last few minutes, just give an overview as to that point with regards to teams now pulling out of this European Super League, etc., if you can.
Yeah, of course I can. So, I mean, I was just watching a bit of TV before we came on here, and obviously the build up to the Chelsea Brighton game, and never in my wildest dreams did I think I say this, or my wildest nightmares. But thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Chelsea. Because about 400 of their fans met up before the game and were protesting very, very loudly in the only way Chelsea know how about this. I think Czech came out and spoke to the fans, and shortly after they were drawing up papers to withdraw from the Super League. And then Barcelona followed, Man City followed, Atletico Madrid followed, and now they're all falling away at the waist. Woodward has resigned from United. And it's all fallen to the ground. And the real people, the fans from whatever club you support, they're the winners, not these mercenaries.
Well said. Deji, I'll come to you next. Your thoughts on this whole saga over this last couple of days. The landscape of football is now probably changed forever. We are now dealing with a completely new era. I can see this being something that's going to change how we as supporters support the game, how owners are going to come into the game, how, fans are just, it's fan power as opposed to owner power, which has been the rhetoric for the last however many years. We've had billionaires come into the game, taking over. It has now seemed like fan power and player power and broadcaster power as well, because Sky Sports had a lot to say about this. What's your thoughts on this actual saga that we're seeing unfolding before us?
Thank you, Sam. I mean, I guess it's kind of, this saga is kind of going with the times. We're living in unprecedented times, and now we're getting unprecedented things happening in football. I mean, for me, I just thought, what the hell is going on? And first and foremost, I thought it's rather cheeky. I'm a Spurs fan, and on one hand, if we're just real and we look at it, it's going to bring in more money for our club. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if that was any other team and our club wasn't involved in that top 6, would we have it? Of course not. And I like the fact that there has been so much backlash from Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, Jurgen Klopp. it takes a lot of bravery. Because I'm not going to lie, Sam. I sat down in my house and I was thinking to myself, it's clear they were ready to go through this. You know, the Real Madrid chairman, whatever his name is, Florentes, was talking about kicking this off potentially in August. I mean, that's how far the plans had gone. But clearly, this is the damage that it would have caused. I hear them talking a lot about the American model. Football, as we would have known it in the English game, would have been done.
100%.
Apart from the 6 teams that's involved, everybody else would have died out. There would have been no Leicester, no West Ham, no Newcastle, no Championship. Basically, all of those clubs would have become Sunday League sides. That's what this would have done. So that's why we needed to step up as fans, as a community, as a movement to say, no, this can't happen. What joy are we going to get in playing Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Man U, year in, year out, no relegation, just winners? What joy is that? I see the NFL in the American League. It's crap. No relegation. It's East and West. That's it. And then they go around again. After that, the next thing we're going to be having is a little draft system, where the team at the bottom gets to pick the best player first the next season. That's absolute nonsense, and that can't be in our game. So good on everyone who stood up today, including us. We don't want that in our game. And we got, you know what? That's the problem. The last thing. We in this country and all around the world, we have made football and the television authorities, they have become gods. Because the cheek of this, the fact that they could even release this and think it was all right without checking in with the fans, without checking in with the management, without checking in, for some clubs, with the chairmans we're hearing, is absolute madness, and it needed to be stopped. So
Mark, sorry, Deji. That's some really good points in there. But before I come to you, Marlon, what I want to do, because as a host of the show, I'm not in any way saying I'm for it or against it, because there's more details that could have come out. Obviously, football, I don't want to see the pyramid system change, but just in terms of how the format was brought about, this is what was said in terms of the statement, which is now pretty much almost redundant, but I'm going to read it anyway. So this is taken from what was on the Spurs website on Sunday, and it was posted about 11 o'clock. So 12 of Europe's leading football clubs have today come together to announce they have agreed to establish a new midweek competition of the Super League, governed by its founding clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, Man United, and Tottenham from the Premier League. For a number of years, the founding clubs have had an objective of improving the quality and intensity of existing European competitions throughout each season, and of creating a format for top clubs and players to compete on a regular basis. The new annual tournament will provide significantly greater economic growth and support for the European football via a long-term commitment to uncapped solidarity payments, which will grow in line with league revenues. Blah, 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 blah. In terms of Perez, we will help football at every level and take it to its rightful place in the world. Football is the only global sport in the world with more than 4 billion fans, and our responsibility as big clubs is to respond to their desires. More blah from the chairman of Juventus. Our 12 founder clubs represent billions of fans across the globe and 99 European trophies. We have come together at this critical moment, enabling European competition to be transformed, putting the game we love on a sustainable footing for the long-term future, sustainably increasing solidarity and giving fans and amateur players a regular flow of headline fixtures that will feed their passion for the game while providing them with and engaging role models. So again, I'm not going to read the rest of it there, but what I can gather from what and it's obviously a lot of stuff here to kind of sell this model. They were trying to say that they're going to improve football by putting the money downwards. Obviously, we've talked about the system in terms of it being a closed shop. Just in terms of the format, and I'll just read this out before I come to you, Marlon. This is how it was a proposed format. 20 participating clubs, 15 founder members. And it says here, further 5 teams to qualify annually based on their achievements. Midweek fixtures, as we've talked about, they were proposing to start this in August. And then to obviously incorporate the women's game on that. All of this seems like a lot of sales and pitching, as you would expect with something that's involving the sums of money that we're talking about. 10 billion and the likes. Marlon, just come to you on that. Was it something that was well thought out? Because again, I've heard that Florentino Perez has said these clubs have signed up contractually, so there's going to be a lot more of this to come. What's your actual thoughts, and what was you wanting to say about the whole thing anyway?
No, I was just going to jump in with what Deja was saying in regards to it being basically Americanized. No one really focuses on the American games at the moment until it's playoffs, and that's how it would be if this came about. All of these NBA, NFL, and even the hockey games, no one really focuses on them until it gets to knockouts, because it doesn't really mean nothing. But I don't think it was ever going to happen. I just think it was a bit of a publicity stunt. Try shake up UEFA, try shake up FIFA, and just to see if they can do anything and show their power. At the end of the day, these clubs have a lot more power. So I think they just done it just to show if we really want to do this potentially could happen. I just think it was a bit of a smoke screen, to be honest.
Bob, was you in agreement with this, or was you fully against the proposal?
No one's coming into my house, i.e. Spurs, flouting around their money, and I'm not going to swear, but making out that they can walk out with our home, with our sweat, tears, joy, a feeling of achievement. No one's taking that away, no matter how much money you've got. So whoever you are, go and piss off, because we're here to stay. The fans are here to stay. We're invaluable. The club's invaluable. You are not taking Tottenham away from us. Football's coming home. Spurs are staying home. End of. The cheek, no chance.
The thing is, though,
no chance.
The thing is, Bob, I don't think Levy would have done it for that purpose. If anything, his hands are tied, aren't they? If this went through and Tottenham didn't go for it, then all the fans would be on his back saying, Levy, you're shit. Oops, sorry for my language, but you're terrible. No. Get out of the club because you should have gone for this 100%. ESL. So he's in a catch-22 situation. So for me, I sit very much on the fence of this, because if this whole thing was thought out properly, and if it was given the time and thought process that it deserves, then I think it potentially could have been great for football. But I don't think they've explained themselves properly, and they haven't, and they haven't actually given us the nitty gritty of actually what this will look like. That's the problem there. But also, I also think it's a case of the clubs, especially the clubs that participate in like the Champions League. Apparently, I think it's UEFA. They receive £4 billion annually, and only 2 billion gets trickled down to the clubs in Europe. Now, what happens to the other £2 billion? Does that just sit in UEFA's pocket and they do what they want with it? Do they pay each other? The problem is there's too much corruption. There's too much corruption with FIFA and UEFA. And without us knowing, because all we're doing as fans is we're just surmising, we're all guessing, we're all just thinking, oh, well, we know what's wrong here. This is what's happening, when we don't really know the full picture. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's the clubs and the owners.
It's the owners. It was the owners who saw a bit of money dangling in front of them. It's not the Liverpool. It's not Liverpool, Spurs, Man City, etc. fans or managers or the players. They what it was, and we know the facts that we do know. They were going to put together a non-competitive league of 12, 15, 20 teams in the end, and they were going to change the face of football. That's facts. And as right now, with all this happening, I can say, in my opinion, I couldn't give a shit what was happening with the 2 billion or 2 million or 4 billion or where it was trickling down. All I was fussed about is me going to watch my team in a competitive league, worrying about losing against a team, worrying about falling out of top four. Not just the joys of it, but the sadness of it. Losing a cup final, missing out on top four. I want all that. I want all that. As a Spurs football fan, I want all that. And for someone's audacity to come in and say, here you go, here's a bit of money, I'm going to change everything about football. Yes, it was all the owners, and the owners need to be hung out to dry. And to be fair, Woodward's first to go. Let's not be surprised if more to follow.
My only argument, and this is not me being for and against it. I'm just trying to, put these out, playing a bit of devil's advocate. But if we go back to 1992, when the formation of the Premier League happened, when we had the league as it was, and it was it's the working man's game. We've kind of allowed Sky to now take that from terrestrial TV, bump up our prices. Even during this pandemic, Sky were proposing that we pay £10 a game to watch our football team, which was a scandalous thing. For them to be able to drive the rhetoric that they have been driving with the likes of Gary Neville, with the likes of Jamie Carragher on TV, I thought was scandalous. Not to say that they were wrong, but what I'm saying is it was suited them to be able to allow these guys on screen to say that what they said for an hour, watch the game, But
it was home and it was competitive.
It screams hypocrisy.
My only point about it was the hypocrisy of it. We've got so many things going on in the world. We've got a whole, racism thing happening, and it's almost like the rhetoric's been driven because it's money. It was going to affect Sky Sports.
It's all money motivated. Absolutely.
Because if they didn't have any buying on this, let's say the ESL had come together and said to Sky Sports, you know what, we're going to give you a chunk of this 10 million. Do you think they would have allowed those two guys on TV on Monday to do this? So my point is the hypocrisy of it. The scandal that's been happening in UEFA, in FIFA, where we've seen the likes of, what's his name? Sepp Blatter. Consistently making money off this. Michel Platini consistently making money off. I just think the whole thing stinks. Overall, the whole ESL thing stinks, but this whole thing that we're now stopping these money men when they were able to do that back in '92. Come on now, it's got to be. And
the hypocrisy from Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher saying it's all about money. Well, hold on a minute. Surely they're not working for Sky Sports for peanuts. I mean, they're not going to be taking
there's money involved.
So, it just pisses me off listening to Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher talking about. I'm trying to come across as
they've got agendas though.
Yeah, they've got agendas. And just.
But can I say something?
As football fans, and I don't know if I'll probably speak for Brian as well. This all comes at a later date. Right now, us football fans and football has won, and that's all that matters right now. And all this hypocrisy. So you're absolutely right. It's all money motivated, etc. And 92, there was a big change. It wasn't as big because at least we had football staying home and we had the competitiveness still here. Exactly. It was going to change the face of football. Of course it has, but it's changed it for the better. Hindsight and everything. You look at all the money involved now. But what the biggest problem? And I'll do it in simple terms. The biggest problem for the Spurs or the football sport was taking our game away from us, taking the competitive streak from us, and not allowing us to not only experience the joys but experience the lows as well. And that, as a football fan, is what you live on. And later, at a later date, I'm quite happy to come on here and discuss all the 2 billions and the hypocrisy and the money. But right now, all I want to do is celebrate. We fucking did it.
But can I just say something?
Sorry. Yeah, go, mate. Sorry.
Bob, and I hear you and I agree. But, deep down, I'm actually pretty scared. I think we've won the kind of the battle today. But I don't think we've won the war.
I agree with you.
To one of the local radio stations just this week, I think yesterday. And this geezer is at one of the clubs. I think it's Liverpool. And he was saying how Liverpool have a waiting list of 40,000, and that's what the clubs are relying on. If you don't want to watch a game, we got 40,000 people who are ready and waiting, ready to watch a game. And the thing that scares me the most, as much as I won't want to watch Tottenham versus Inter Milan, and I'll turn off my screen, knowing Spurs fans and what we've been through, and we're the only team that we pack out a stadium, even against the deadest teams I've ever seen in my life. Are Spurs fans going to do what is needed in this moment and turn away? Because that's what they're relying on.
So I'm going to come to Brian. I'm going to come to Brian on this because I just want to watch Brian. Because he said earlier, and again, everybody's got their right to say anything they want about their team. If we was in this European Super League, you said you would not watch Spurs. Let's put it the other way. If we wasn't in it, what would your thoughts have been to actually football then, in terms of the other teams and us maybe potentially being left behind?
So this is the thing you got to look at. What everyone that's been talking about this so far have been talking about the 6 teams joining the league. They haven't been talking about the 86 that would be left behind. Now, I've grown up watching FA Cup results go like crazy results, like Coventry getting knocked out by Sutton, Woking knocking people out, Wrexham knocking the filth out. I've seen Blackpool win the Premier League. This is what football's all about. You got to remember, our country, it's not like I live here in Canada, and like I said, you have the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, the MLS, and everything else. Now, these places, what they don't get compared to what we have back home is where I am in Toronto. You have the Toronto Blue Jays for baseball, the Toronto Maple Leafs for hockey, the Toronto they are one state teams. London alone is like 17 different clubs. And you look at all the other cities across the world, apart from Newcastle, Middlesbrough, and Sunderland, which are obviously those big. It will kill. Look what happened to Bury. Look what just happened to Bury. This is a football game that we are known for loving. And this is what I would support. So if Tottenham had gone there, I literally would have followed the Premier. I don't care. Would I have been cared that we left behind? No, I actually would have been more happier to see Daniel Levy, and Bob will vouch for me. I am Daniel Levy's #1 hater. You will not find a bigger Daniel Levy hater than me.
Scarily, yeah.
And to this dying day, and now that person has been found out, we need him out.
I think just to add to
Brian,
that, go on. Sorry, Mike. Just go on.
I was just going to say, Levy had no choice though, but to
yes,
go.
He did. Yes, he did. Show some balls. Show some common decency. No, it's not. Listen, this club, we are the 10th bit richest in the world. Don't get me wrong. The money that was in there was ludicrous. Was absolutely.
How can you turn that down?
Because
how can you turn that down?
You know what? The one thing as well.
We've got debts of 1.2 billion. The one thing that
sickens
turn that money down.
But Mike, the one thing that sickens me was out of all those chairmen in all the 6 that were going, we were the one English-based chairman and owner that know what football means to the English people.
I fully get what you're saying, Brian. I fully get what you're saying. I do agree with elements
it's the emotional side, isn't it?
But the problem is that this is the crux of the matter here is Levy couldn't just turn around and say from the morals perspective, I don't want Tottenham to go ahead with this, because if he did say that, the amount of money that he could have, but we would have been dead as a club. Financially, we'd be dead. We wouldn't survive.
Yeah, but do you know what? If we go into that Super League, if we'd gone into that Super League, we're dead anyway.
But we wouldn't be. Well, we wouldn't be dead because that Super League.
I stopped supporting. There's a load of people that would stop supporting the club. There would have been something like MK Dons and then a Wimbledon coming out, and that's the Tottenham I would support.
But Brian, what I'm trying to say is, with any competition, like with the Premier League, like with Champions League, like with UEFA Cup, with time everything evolves, and normally 9 times out of 10, when something evolves, it evolves hopefully for the better. So what might look like the ESL now, in 5 years down the line, it could be completely different.
Yeah.
But we haven't given. There's 2 things we haven't done. There's one, we haven't given Perez or anyone that's associated with the ESL a chance to explain themselves as to, one, why is this ESL is going to take place, and 2, why we haven't given each of the chairmen of each of the clubs a chance to explain their rationale behind why they think we should go for the ESL. And secondly, what happens if we all come out of this ESL? What happens if the billionaires just turn around and say, you know what, taking my money elsewhere, don't want to be part of this? What does that mean for football then?
We're self-sufficient. We've got enough money anyway, haven't we? We've got enough money anyway.
What I can say to that, is based on the point that Deji made earlier, and saying about 40,000 people waiting to get season tickets or whatever it is. There is billions of people. As I said, 4 billion people probably watch football around the world. If you don't go, Brian, or if I don't go to watch them, somebody else will. If they put the prices up from 50 to 100 to 150 to 250 to 500, somebody will pay that money. It doesn't matter what we do. There's always going to be somebody that's going to do that, because this is all the capitalist society that we live in is about money, and we can't get away from the fact. So just going to this point on, I want to just have because there's some real good comments coming through here, and I just want to have a look at some of them, because there's things in here. Stephen Ballaghan saying the only difference is that crooks like UEFA and FA and FIFA run things, because when it suits them, when it suits their rhetoric, they're fine. Nothing said. We went and we saw so many things about the World Cup. The World Cup being in Qatar is an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke.
Well, you just have to look how many people are dying building the stadium. And FIFA
So-
don't give a shit.
They don't
It's
care.
all about, it's
But
all,
when
it's all about what they got in the back pocket.
Right, exactly. So when this whole thing was going to affect FIFA and it was going to affect the UEFA and it was going to affect the FA and it's going to affect certain sponsors and it was going to affect certain broadcasters, we've gathered up. They've all gathered up real steam and let's get this. I'm not saying that the ESL was going to be completely right. I'm not saying that at all. There are fundamentals with it that I kind of think, oh, that's probably where it's going to go, because they've been talking about this European Super League for years and years and years. There has to be a change, but I'm getting lost in the hypocrisy of it, which was like this groundswell over 2 days where we haven't seen groundswells like this for other things, which we should have seen. The FIFA thing with Seb Blatter should have been dealt with a long time ago. It wasn't.
But if it's such a good thing, Sam, if you're chucking loads of money, right? For example, I've come in with a product, I've come up with a plan, and here's $5 billion quid or whatever it is towards it. This is the way forward. This is the way of football. This is the way it's going to evolve, and this is all it is. This is how it's going to be, and trust me, it's the next best thing since sliced bread. If it's that good a product, and if that much belief in it, why would it take a few hundred fans to change it? Because they know there's something not right in it. It's not good if you put so much clout behind it, and you come with it with so much authority and so much conviction behind it and so much money behind it. Why then back out of it within 24 hours if it's that massive? Because they know that they've underestimated it all, Mike. They've really underestimated it, and they've not thought. I don't think they've thought it through.
They've not been given an opportunity to explain themselves, though. That's my key in this.
With that much money behind me, mate. Without that much money behind me, I'd wait. I'd let them have a think, and I'll explain. Deji, but I'm still going ahead with it.
Deji, come through. See what you're going to say.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, just picking up on the point that Bob made earlier. You know, the actual idea, and Mike, you know, the fact is football needs to evolve. We have to have a new competition, that sort of thing. I wouldn't have minded if there was a legitimate qualification process and a legitimate relegation process for the Super League.
100%.
If there was that, I actually think people would be all right with this. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, it's not great, but I think it would be more palatable. The bit that's unpalatable is that how did we determine the top six? Tottenham's not up there. Arsenal's not up there as a club. So
no, we are. We've got financial power. Behave.
They're looking at the financial
revenue, marketing, and average. Yeah.
Why do you think we didn't sign anyone for a summer?
If it wasn't for Pochettino in the last 5 years, would we be in the equation? I don't think so. Yeah, so we were benefiting from.
Levy's got a master in economics. The guy's he's a genius when it comes to financials. I still think even without Pochettino, we'd still be in a top six club.
So, as is for a conspiracy theory, right? Okay, so Pochettino was at Tottenham. Him and Levy are like that. We all know this. Him and Levy. So, what's to say that Poch got the inkling of what's going to happen about the ESL? They had a conversation. Levy told him about it, and things were going crap anyway. And Poch moved on. He stayed out of the game for what, a year and a bit. What's to say that he wasn't going for the clubs that were touting him? He wasn't going there and saying, right, I know the ESL's coming around the corner. I know this between you and me. Are you going to go for it? Clubs are saying yes or no. No. How is it just coincidence that the only one of the clubs that have said no is where Poch is?
PSG would have gone. They would have gone for that.
They would have.
Marlon, have your say because
they announced that they weren't going to go for it.
I want Marlon to come in and say, what's your thoughts on that? What Bob's just said?
Nothing. Every team would have went for it. I just think if it was structured correctly, as Deji said and as everyone else said in there, if it had a relegation system or to go into it would have worked. And to be honest, if Tottenham did not put their name to this list,
100%,
fans would have went mad. I would have went crazy. But hold on, why are we not in this? But to be honest, I'm a Levy fan. I think he's done well for Tottenham. He's brought Spurs out of the gutters. Anyone
I want to see Brian's face. I want to see Brian's face on this one.
We're all of the same age here. So we've seen Spurs in the 90s. We saw us under Sugar. We were pants. Now we've got Spurs. Here we go. Spurs are a brand, and we've got such key assets, and we've got so much to offer now. Come on, you can't not.
You're right.
He's itching. He's in
We
the
have.
bottom left
No, you know
corner.
what it is?
He's in
I had
it.
a-
We
I'm
are,
gonna let
Brad.
him come in.
I had a
However you-
conversation. I had a
I'm
conversation
gonna
with someone
bring him
online.
on. I'm bringing him on.
One second,
I'm gonna let him
one
say
second.
things. Hold on.
One
second.
Brian, I know you want to respond to this. I
So-
know you want to respond.
I've said this on record a billion times. When it comes to the business side of things, Daniel Levy is the greatest chairman in the world, the greatest.
He is.
And put it this
100%.
way, he's this good that if I was ever to get a divorce, I'd want his lawyers to work for me, because if he could get 18 million for Kevin Vimmer, I'd probably in my divorce settlement, my wife's new husband would still have to give me money. That's how good he is on the business side.
Yeah.
On the football side, the guy is the biggest schmuck in the world. He has bought a football club, not a property magnate that has a football club on the side. You are on a football, you build a football team to win football trophies. The way you make more money is by getting the best players on the pitch and winning trophies. He has not backed managers. We've had 14 managers in his 20-year reign. We've got one trophy. He has left managers high and dry. He buys players that we don't want. Look, perfect example, when Poch wanted it came in, he goes, I want Schneidlin or Wanyama. Okay, you want a defensive midfielder. Let me get you Benjamin Stambouli. And he carries on with all these stupid players that make no sense for the club. Off the pitch, he is phenomenal. On the pitch, I swear to God, he's as good as an underwater hairdryer. He is
That's what I had to let Brian Hayes say. I knew he was going to go off, so I let him have his say because he's got to breathe, and we've let him breathe now.
Our Spurs are in a better position now than where they were.
100%.
Has Levy put us in a position now that we can financially battle with these clubs that are run by oil?
And this is it, Deji, right?
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. Because he's put us. No, listen. On the business side, yes.
Which will bring in more money.
Why do you think we spent no money for a season? It wasn't that. It wasn't that, because when we built the stadium, he said, "This is the money for the stadium. This is the money for." It's always bullshit and excuses.
No, but it went over.
He did all of these things to jump through the hoops to get into this Super League by not telling the fans what's going on. He does not communicate. He is a parasite, a liar, a bullshitter, and you've got Joe Lewis in Bermuda. Do you know that man?
I hope they're not watching.
That man has a $1 billion. That man, Joe Lewis has a $1 billion art collection. I'm not talking just in art. So when you put people on furlough, and when you say there's no money for the club or the club in huge debt, put your hands in your goddamn pockets and do something for the club. Invest. And now I'm going to calm down.
Brian, how many chairmen, how many owners actually physically put their own hands in their pockets and put their own money into the clubs in the top six?
Within 20 years with one trophy, and also make themselves the highest paid chairman in the league and give themselves a £7 million bonus?
Most clubs are self-sufficient in that sense of financials, aren't they?
I want to calm Brian down slightly. I don't want him to.
We're a chocolate teapot chairman. That's what he is, a chocolate teapot chairman.
I tell you what, I think honestly with Levy, he's trying to be creative in terms of how to set us and how to put us on the global map, because we can't compete as it is with the likes of Man United and the likes of Liverpool. But with what Levy's trying to do, he's trying to be creative. I honestly do think he's trying to be creative in how to make us a global brand, like the likes of Man United, likes of Liverpool, your likes of whoever else it might be, your Man Cities, etc. But in doing so, he's got to be creative in how he does that. And I think what he's doing is in the best interest of the club off the pitch, which hopefully we will reap the benefits on the pitch. But Rome wasn't built in a day.
I have my closing statement, and this will be the last thing I mention about him. This creative business genius has scouted Jose Mourinho for 20 years. I want this man. He's the best manager. He does this. He does that. For 20 years, Jose Mourinho has done the same thing. Got into a club, spent hundreds of millions, won trophies, pissed off. So we bring him in with no money and go, when was Daniel Levy ever going to give him hundreds of millions? But you expect him to get top four. You expect these trophies with nothing. And Pochettino, who deserved money, gets nothing.
Didn't he spend 130 million in the summer?
Muzzle tov. Congratulations, well done. After spending fuck all for years.
But, so he has given
amazing.
some sort of backing to Mourinho. I don't think it's
So we bought seven
as clear cut
so
as
we
that.
bought so we bought 7 players in the summer. 2.5 of them play regularly. Højbjerg, Reguilon, and let's say the 0.5 is Bale.
But that's Mourinho.
Matt Doherty, we signed Bergwijn, a right winger, who we then play at right back, but we signed a right wing back in Doherty, who we don't even play. That's creative transfer activity.
I don't want to stop the chat. I don't want to stop the chat, but we're slightly going off topic.
Yeah, I'm keeping quiet.
But I understand it is a bit of a connection because it's all about the money side of things. As I said, we've got a very rich owner. But as Mike's pointed out, there is, apart from a few, obviously you can name like the likes of Roman Abramovich and obviously the sheikhs that have come in at Man City. They're the ones that put their hands in their pocket and pay their own money. Marlon, what do you want to say on that point?
I'm just thinking you can't really compare Spurs to your Cities, Chelsea's, Liverpool and United because they've got different. Well, my thing is their chairman have got billions of money. Not to say we haven't, and that those clubs are bigger than Spurs. I just think we've been spoiled. My opinion, don't kill me. I've had conversations.
I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. But
I think we've been spoiled, and we're trying to compare ourselves with these clubs that have achieved more than us. Levy and Enoch are putting us in a position where we can challenge them. It's a process. We're going to get there eventually, but we just need to relax. Understand we're Spurs. We're still not on that level, but we're getting there.
So
give them another.
40 years, one trophy. I don't want us to argue over each other. What I'm going to say is, do you think now that our club, and I'm only going to talk about Spurs, do you think they're going to come out with a statement now that the cards have started to topple, now the dominoes have started to topple? Do you think our club, our chairman, our owners, whoever's in charge of PR are going to come out in the public, because they were very quick to put something on social media. They were very quick to put the announcement onto the Spurs website on Sunday at 11. I think it was exactly 12 minutes past 11. Do you think they're now going to come out publicly and say something? Deji, what's your thoughts on that?
My honest answer to that is no. And the reason why is because Levy is, like Brian's been saying, Levy knows what he's doing. It's cunning. Don't get it twisted, guys. We're here arguing, talking. The contract has been signed. This thing has been signed, sealed, and delivered. And Levy is not going to come out against something that is going to financially benefit Spurs. He's not going to do it. So I already think that it's already done. Levy's not, unless we get some sort of, Arab billionaire, then this is the best that we've got. And Marlon's right. And we're not competing on the same level as these other teams. These guys who are their chairman, they can run the club at a loss. And we're not in that game. And Levy, yes, to his credit, he's put us on a platform that we can be considered to be potentially on par. But what I can tell you is the deed has been done. Levy has signed it. You will not see a statement from Spurs. And guess what? Even though we huff and puff and we blow their ass down, someone is getting ready to line up and take our season ticket away. And that's it. Look,
100%. I agree. As much as we would like to think that we can take the game back and we can do this, money has talked in football for years. Let us not just forget that. This whole thing is all about money. It's not about the fans. It's not about improving the game. It's not about any of that. So Florentino Perez can come and say, oh, it's not, the younger people are not watching football. That's bullshit. Because my son's 20 years old. He loves football. He wanted to be a professional footballer. He did everything he could to try and be a professional. And things don't always work out. But the game is not in such a state that we cannot, say it's unwatchable. Yeah, we'd love to see a great game every single week. And we, as testament to that, can obviously appreciate that with what we've been watching in this season with Jose Mourinho in charge. We want to see good football. But ultimately, when I had discussions with a lot of you guys, there was arguments between, are we winning trophies or is it top four? This top four thing for me is kind of clouded everything because I've been on record to say it many times. I was not bothered about top four this season. For the fact is, I want to see my team win a trophy. So this top four thing, realistically, even if we'd have got top four or even if we get top four, we ain't win the Champions League next season. So the whole idea of being in the top 4 is to create more and more revenue. The revenue is not being seen by us. It's not being seen in the playing staff. It's not being seen anything other than building a stadium, building infrastructure to create what? To create more wealth. So my point is, if we're going down that road and Levy's now wanting to jump on this whole ESL thing, we've been in this thing already. We are a club that's a business. We are football is now a business and has been for a long, long time.
It is a business, isn't it? 100%.
I like your speech.
But you know what?
That's a closing speech.
No, it was another closing. Deji, sorry.
The only thing I will say though, lads, is that we got to also sit up and take responsibility for what's been going on. What do I mean by that? We've been complicit in this. I used to talk about
100%
for many years. In Scotland, it's just Rangers and Celtic. In Spain, Barcelona and Real Madrid, they get the lion's share of the TV ads, and then the others have to kind of scurry around and do it. The Premier League is kind of similar. I think 30% go to the top 6, and then well, it's not, but that was the plan for the new thing. So it was already happening in the other league, Bayern Munich and Dortmund, and we've been letting it happen. And then what the super elites have done is saying, since we all want to be in the Hunger Games society anyway, let's just take it up a notch. So we should have been calling out when the clubs were saying they're dying over COVID, no support, they can't even pay player wages. Let's be honest, what did the football community do? We did absolutely nothing. So we can't even be surprised by this taking place. What this has told us is that it's kill or be killed. That's what's going on in world football. If you ain't got the money, then you die slow, and that's what they're showing us, and that's the point.
And you just have to look at that in the Premier League, though. I mean, 9 times out of 10, who's going to win the Premier League? It's either going to be Man United, Man City, Liverpool. I mean, Arsenal used to be, but they're not there because they haven't got the money to pay out for the players, etc. So
they made a trophy, same teams.
And you just have to look at the Champions League. It's the same teams that win the Champions League. So this form of elitism is already in football. We just, I suppose, might be blinded to it, or we haven't realised it because this whole ESL's come about and it's opened our eyes a little bit. But
we blindly accepted this. We blindly accepted this for years, and now it's kind of like raised a little bit of a head because it's kind of been now packaged in a different way. I think this is kind of just packaged in a different way that a lot of supporters don't like, and I get why they don't like it because of the fact that it was maybe going down a franchise route very similar to what's happening in America. And that, again, you watch American sport, you watch the NBA, you watch NFL, it's great. And like I think Marlon put the point across earlier, is we might get into sort of, I think it might have been Deji actually, a draft system where the team that finishes bottom gets the choice of the best pick of the person that's coming up, the up and coming, which again keeps the competition rotating. So the same team doesn't win every year. That has its merits. I understand that. But as a competition, do you want to really see that? But then saying all of that, FIFA, UEFA put in financial fair play. And I don't want to swear, but clubs who had the money pissed all over that. Do you know what I'm saying? So we've allowed that to happen. So again, we're seeing things being packaged in a different way. And don't get me wrong, I think this ESL thing was being discussed for years. And there will be something else that will come up in the future that we're going to have to deal with as supporters, as fans, as everybody, really.
Remember, Wenger mentioned this about 10 years ago, didn't he?
Exactly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He's a clever man, that Wenger.
Look, Levy is giving us the statement. He watched the show last week where we were talking about getting Jose out, and he's done it. Yeah, he's taken out Jose because he's not saying this. Look at the timing, guys. One thing I'm hearing from the floor, one thing we know Levy's good for is that this man is calculated. He knows exactly what move to make and when to make the move. The reason why he sacked Jose is, let me give you guys something in one hand, because I'm definitely taking something away from you guys with the other. And then the question I will post, look, I was struggling yesterday. Do I want Spurs in the ESL or do I want Jose? I bet I was
Oh, we forgot. You see, now we haven't even got into that. There's all speculation as to the reason why Jose was sacked. A lot of people, well, some people are saying it's because he didn't agree with this whole ESL thing. Others are saying because there was talk about managers being proposed and he got wind of it. But we're only surmising here. But when Klopp came out with what his speech yesterday, it was clear that he wasn't happy. It was clear that it's something that they didn't agree with. And he was kind of thrown under the bus by his owners. It doesn't appear that there was enough dialogue between teams. And I think that was the biggest thing. If they'd had the dialogue, maybe given reasons. But we haven't now not allowed the ESL conglomerate to discuss exactly how this was going to work. And this is the point. It's almost been like a lot of bluster and it's been taken out. Now something else is in the place. And Bob was alluding to it earlier. There's now... and you might want to touch on it a little bit, Bob. They've now kind of given a new formula for the Champions League. Do you want to maybe just give a little bit more? Because I haven't read that information.
Yeah, 24-25 is going to be a new format of the Champions League, and basically what it's going to be two leagues of 10. Basically, what the ESL are going to do, with the difference being that it's going to be called the Champions League, but it won't be affecting. It will be part and parcel of UEFA as well. There are going to be 2-3 teams that go into it purely on merit, not by qualifications. There will be the first, second, third, and the fourth, but there will be 2 or 3 teams from individual countries that go in purely on merit, purely based on their historical performance within the Champions League. Don't take it as gospel. But yeah, there will be that element of teams will be going in because they can, because they deserve to. But that's like another 3 or 4 years. And at least we've got the time to sit back, read it all, get all the facts right, and accept it. Have time to accept it. Can you imagine the deceitfulness of 6 chairmen getting together, discussing it? It wasn't discussed overnight. It was discussed in a probably darkened room with monitors in front, talking about money, etc., and how we're going to do it. Discussing for God without anyone knowing the deceitful parasites that they are, signing an agreement the next day saying, "Here you go, this is what we're doing to you. See you later." It doesn't happen. I don't give a shit about profits and billions and etc. No one's saying Tottenham Hotspur are the gospel or the saint of all football clubs. We're not even calling ourselves a big team. We're embarrassed that we're one of the top 6 teams. But the fact was they were taking away football the way it is right now. They were taking competition away from football. They were taking our right to be sad, happy, cross, angry, shout at referees, get pissed off about VAR. They were taking all that away from us, and they weren't going to do it.
Well,
the money shit and all that, we could sit back. No, but if you believe in something, Mike. Well, if you're that convinced by it, no, but if you're convinced about it, Mike, if I was doing it and I had £5 billion behind it, I'd come out and show this is it. Please, let's get together. Well, then stick by it. If you're that convinced by it, a few fans shouldn't be able to turn their mind around. They should be going. All right, let's go ahead with it.
It's gone from a few fans talking about it to people singing and dancing, chanting on the streets and stuff.
If they thought it was right, Mike, they should have stood by it. If I think I'm right about something, I don't.
And one of the things I don't think this is done. And the reason I say it's not done because I read earlier that Florentino Perez has said all these guys have signed a contract. Like I said, this isn't just happened overnight. A contract has been signed, which is legally binding. So for them to come out in the press and say, "Oh, we're out," it might not be as easy as that. So
the reputation is damaged so much. The last thing they're going to want to do is hold clubs to ransom. Believe me, they're not going to want to do that. They've already fucked up their reputation so badly. The last thing they're going to want to be doing is, "Oh, but you signed a form." It's not going to happen. Believe me.
If it's a legally binding contract, how are you going to get out of that?
Let me just come to this comment. We can continue. Hold on, Deji. ESL equals global reach. Football, as we romantically know it, is next door and away. Unfortunately, these days are ending and franchising on the way in. Like it or love it. And this is what I think. I think we, as much as this one has been poo-pooed, might be poo-pooed, there will be something else
My
coming up.
favourite word. That's my favourite word.
That's
I
Bob's
like that
knows.
word
hashtag.
as well.
That's Bob's hashtag.
Brian knows. Brian knows. That's my favourite word.
I
That.
try not to swear where I can, but there will be something else. Don't get it wrong. They've been talking about this for a long time, and just because this one may have gotten a bit of a heave ho, or certainly got a lot of people angry, a lot of fans angry, a lot of it will raise its head again.
We're not dinosaurs, Sam. Though we're not dinosaurs. We're not saying we don't want change. We know we want change. We want change. We want it to. Even if the franchise aspect of it means we've still got our football, we're quite happy with that. But the fact all the emotion was going to be taken out of football was never gonna happen. But no way are we saying, and I'm speaking for Brian here, we're not saying we don't want change. We're not saying we don't want progression. Of course we do. We want to ride with the flow. We want to carry on progression. We want to be alongside the elitists, deserve it or not. But the fact is, they need to do it properly. They need to present it properly. And if they give this same ESL a proposal and said, "Look, you got 3 years to look at it, and then we're going to put it into practice," who knows? Who knows what would have been? But the cheek to do it, we've done it all overnight. Here's our signature. There you go. See you later. Like it or love it. It wasn't going to happen. It was never going to happen.
I want your thoughts, Brian. I'm going to ask you your thoughts on this. This is one. What would the players do if someone in Dubai said he was going to start a league and pay players £1 million a week to play for his club? Would the players go?
100%.
Sign me up now.
You'd have to think they would. You would have to think they would. I mean, there's no. It's kind of like you're talking basically like they do with the Indian Premier League for cricket and everything, and like what happened in China. But
that's true. Yeah.
Going back on the things like that, it's like what was annoying me was with things like if this ESL had gone on, if people like Harry Winks, when they heard that they couldn't play for their country and all this, and all they've been banging on about, I want to play for England, it's so important, it's everything to me. If they had gone, okay, I want to play on the European Super League, then you said, well, you've just been found out for being the money-grabbing footballer you are. There's loads of facets to it, and like Bob was saying, if this ESL comes up again, if it's an open dialect where it's not so hidden, and then all of a sudden comes out within one day, and then it started in April, and the next day people are leaving the European football committees, and then this is happening, and then the chairmans have the nerve to say we are legacy fans, and we're not. If this was done in a cordial way, came out like the Premier League was done, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. It's going to start like Champions League, and like Bob just said, they're talking about the season 24-25.
Yeah,
there's 2 years to prepare for this. There's 2 years to sort out a variant or whatever. And the biggest thing is for them to come out with this ESL during a pandemic, where I haven't been able to fly home and see my four nephews and one niece for over a year. There's people that don't even know if they can pay rent or their mortgage payment, or if they have a job to go to. And they're talking about £350 million. Just the whole thing is just a farce.
I agree. What I'm going to do, lads, and I want to come around to all of you to get a bit of a closing statement from yourself. I'm going to start with you, Mike, and then come around so you can all have your closing thoughts about this. No pressure, but you're going to start first, Mike, and then I'll come round to you, Marlon, and we'll do the first thing.
I mean, I sit on the fence of it. I see the pros, I see the cons to this. I think what I would have liked to have seen is the full proposal from the ESL as to what this actual competition would look like, how it's going to play out, and I understand it from top to bottom. And I would have liked to have seen the chairman of each of the proposed clubs come out and say why they've gone in for the competition, why they believe it's the right thing to do. And I think I would have just liked to have understood everything a little bit more in depth, given people the opportunity. And as I say, then I could have walked away, whether I agreed or disagreed, but I would have had the full facts in front of me, and I could have made a sort of more educated, I suppose, opinion on where I stand with it all. But yeah, I sit on the fence very much.
Marlon, your closing thoughts.
I think Bob's explanation of the new Premier League is exactly the same thing with what them announced with these 6 clubs. I think they knew that was going to happen anyway. That's why they tried to throw in a statement on Sunday night. Look when they made this whole statement and they brought it to the public knowledge. Sunday night, 11:30. They know what's going on. They just tried to throw something in the spanners. Like this, they tried to cause some eruption, which they have now, and they've made a point. I think they know they can face the backlash and deal with it. You know, fans, we're quite fickle in it. 1 minute, we're going to be angry. Then we're going to still follow our club. That's what we do. And I just think it's the same thing. As Bob explained it perfectly well, it's the same thing. From you can enter a competition from your history and your past in it, and you don't have to qualify. That's just nonsense to me. It's the same thing. So.
Deji, you don't have to rub your black hat anymore. Your wishes come through because of Jose. I notice you've now put your jumper on, covering your top up. Are you cold or are you just out for Spurs now? But anyway,
the nips were out.
As you can see, you know, with me, I'm all about that cryptic message, and I'm wearing a black jumper because it's a black day. This is the death of football. Okay, this is the death of football. I agree with Zepsi. You know, I had an issue when players became bigger than the club. And what we've just seen over the last couple of days is that there are 6 teams in this country that is bigger than football. And I think whether we like it or not, the reality is, and I think Brown said it best, football has become a global game. When we had Manchester United and Portsmouth fly to Nigeria for a pre-season friendly in bloody hot Lagos, we knew that football had gone from the locals and it become a global game. Now, guys, the clubs have made it clear. Us fans based here in the UK, they could give a damn about us. That is the truth. They don't care. So what I'm suggesting is that we have a GoFundMe for Paxton Road TV, and we split from Spurs, and we call ourselves Paxton Road FC. Yeah, the breakaway team.
Oh,
Deji. Football, because if we don't do that, we have sold our souls to the devil, and I'm not joining that.
And as Deji loves to say, that is not financial advice, but he might want to take some warning and take heed on that. Bob, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, spot on. The new Champions League looks like it's going to be the new SL, but at least we've got 3 years to think about it, take it in, look at it properly, and like Mike said, digest it and ask questions and have an open dialogue. I ain't got a problem with that. Because we've got that time. We're not being told you've got no choice, it's happening tomorrow. We're being told this is when it's going to happen. Have a look at it and tell us what you think. Secondly, I don't think there are bigger clubs, 6 bigger clubs in England, more bigger than world football. I think there's 6 chairmen who think they are bigger than football. They are not bigger than football. Us fans of football, and don't you dare try that kind of shit again.
Don't you dare. I'm going to point to this. Don't you dare. Mr. Daigle, coming to you for your final thoughts.
Yeah, no, so carrying with what Bob said, those 6 chairmen have now put such a target on our back for the world of football and our beloved football teams. Everyone goes on about this ESL and should we have been in it. Listen, 4 weeks ago, we were 2-0 up against Dinamo Zagreb. We couldn't even do that. So imagine playing Inter Milan, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. Ouch. It would have been a nonsense. And then in final, I have to apologise. I don't mean any harm when I go on my Levy rants to anyone I'm ranting with. When you say that, basically saying Daniel Levy, if you say it more than 3 times, that's like Beetlejuice to me. And it's basically it was said. So I'm known on all the channels for being triggered with that man. So if I come across very confrontational against anyone on the panel or anyone looking, it's nothing personal at all. It's literally, I get absolutely triggered and I can't stop. So I apologise for that. But in final, I just want to say once again, a sentence again I never thought I'd say in my wildest dreams or my worst nightmares, but thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you, Chelsea.
You two have got your fans out there. Jack saying, big up Brian, big up Bob. So obviously, you know, you've got your fan base out there. Well done, fan base.
Jack, Cody, stay there. I'm going to be in touch.
Gentlemen,
Stay
as I said, this could have gone on for a long time. Please, viewers at home, if you could leave some further comments down below, we would love to hear more from you. We really would, because this is a subject I think is going to rumble on for a while yet. It's not the end of it. There is going to be a lot more, and I think there's going to be other shows that's going to be coming out soon. I know that FTB are going to be doing one soon. So again, if you've enjoyed the content, like, subscribe, share, comment. We will have these guests on at some point again. They've been on a number of times. Just before we go, both of you, I would like you just to give your own shout outs as to where people can find you. I'm going to start with you, Brian, first.
Okay, we can be found at Tottenham Away. It's just literally the words Tottenham Away for our YouTube. All our social media is Tottenham_YouTube. We do a pod every Monday at 3 p.m. Toronto time, 8 p.m. London time. And we have a couple of shows on a Friday and a Saturday. The Friday is a show with the two Brians, which is myself and the other Brian, funnily enough, called Two Brians. And it's just a very, very light-hearted talk about Spurs and fan show. And we have a guess the correct score. And there's some forfeits involved, and these forfeits, as Bob will contest, are getting wildly out of control. And we have the two football coaches in Stow and Shire that do a coaching show on a Saturday. So that's where you can find us, and we're going to have to get all you guys from Paxton Road on the channel.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Bob.
Yeah, Bob Spur TV. I do regular content, all things being Spurs. If there's something within me that's in that I want to get out, I'll put it in a nice picturesque kind of way. The regular shows I've got is the day after the day before, which is obviously the day after the game. I've got one this Thursday. Do preview shows as well. I do a debrief for Lily White Lane, and we do a specific topic show as well. We had the ESL show a couple of days ago. I've done a show on media. I've done a show on ENIC as well. MENIC. There you go. MENIC. That's a good one, isn't it? That's a good one.
I like that one.
Yeah. That's an accident. That's a good one. And there's so much inside me tonight, so don't be surprised if I'm loitering with Brian and co later on this evening.
Jesus. Bob gets everywhere anyway. I know the viewers can see Bob, but you just turn on your TV and Bob's there. It's like, wait, what? He's here again.
Quite much.
Great.
No.
listen, gentlemen, it's a great show. We have to do something else again. There'll be other talking points we'll come up with. This has been, what can I say? An amazing couple of days. What we haven't even touched on the Jose thing about him living, but that'll be for another show because I don't even want to open up that can of worms now. Like, subscribe, share, comment.
Good news all round.
Paxton Road TV. Thank you all for watching. I'm drained. I need to go. Thank you all. See you guys later.
Come on.
Take care.